Alright, in this lab, I'm going to go over a few of the basic configuration commands that you end up doing on a lot of the Cisco devices you configure. So kind of your basic stuff like setting up your basic security, host name, and just a few things that are similar to that. Okay. So first off, when you first connect to your Cisco device, you generally want to hit enter to get to your command prompt or to be prompted for a password. I am working on a router, but most of the configuration commands I'm going to talk about would apply to either a router or a switch. So you can see that my device, because it has no configuration on it yet, I am not prompted to enter a password. So I'm taken directly to my standard user prompt. This is what's known as a user exec prompt. You can see it has the default name router followed by the greater than symbol. You can do a few basic commands from this prompt, but this is kind of like your basic user, so you can't really do a whole lot. You certainly can't do anything that would be considered like a administrative type action. So really just some show commands, some test commands, that kind of stuff. To get to the privileged exec mode, you type enable, and again, because I have not set anything up, there's no passwords. From here you can see my prompt changes to the pound symbol. You can do a lot more stuff from here. One useful command that you should always remember with Cisco devices is the question mark. Question mark always will always show you what command options are currently available to you. So just by hitting a question mark with nothing else, it shows me all the possible commands that I could currently type in. A lot of stuff. There are also a lot of show commands. Show commands are the commands that you would use on a Cisco device to display different types of information. So if I do show and then a question mark, it will show me all the possible show commands that I could currently type in. Also, quite a few of them. One useful show command that gives you the version of the Cisco iOS you're currently running is show version. So you can see from the output from this command that I'm currently running version 12.3. Okay, so that's the show command. There's a lot of show commands, and you should definitely be familiar with how to use those. But if I ever want to do any configuration on my device, I need to type config space T. This brings me to the global configuration mode. Okay, so from global configuration mode, first thing I'm going to do here is set my host name. And that's simply the host name with the name that you want to set on your device. So you just type hostname space and the name of your new, in my case it's a router, but this would work on a switch as well. We'll just call ours R1. So now you can see my prompt change to R1, but I'm still in the global config mode, so that's still there. So there's a lot of different global config commands you can use on a Cisco device. The one we just used there is hostname, that works on routers and switches. But if I ever want to configure anything more specific, I have to change to a sort of a specialized configuration mode. So for example, if I want to configure a password on my console line, which I'm currently connected to the console port of this router, I type line space con 0. Now I'm in the line configuration mode. You can see my prompt changed again. To set up password, you type password, and then the actual password, we'll use Cisco. And then you always have to type login. If you do not type login after the password Cisco, like you haven't really enabled login in yet through that interface, and so the password won't really have any effect. So you put in your password, you type login, and now if I type exit to get all the way out of my device, now if I type enter, I'm prompted to enter a password. So that is the password I just configured. We'll get back into our global config mode. Now you notice it still did not prompt me for a password when I typed enable. To set that, you type enable secret and then your password. You can actually just type enable and the password, but if you type enable secret, it encrypts it in the config. So enable secret Cisco. Now if I back all the way out again, I'll first be prompted by my first level password, which is the console line password. Now when I type enable, I'll be prompted for a password again. Okay, so I've got those two passwords set. Now another helpful command, another helpful show command is the show run. Now this will just, oops, made a mistake there. So you can't actually type show run from global config mode. You would type that directly from your privileged exec mode. So show run will show me my currently running config. Not a lot there yet. Now you'll notice under line con 0 on my screen here, it says password Cisco. So when you view the config, you actually will see in plain text your passwords that you configured on the lines. The way to get rid of that is from global config mode, you type service password encryption. Oops. And it is with a dash. So notice what I did there is I thought it had a space. That was wrong, obviously. If I just type service pass and part of the word pass and hit tab, it auto completes the rest of that command for me. So I can type as little as just the PA. S, there we go. PA didn't do it, but PAS was enough of the command for it to auto complete for me. So now, if I back out and do a show run, you'll notice that down at the bottom here, that password is now encrypted. So under line con 0, my console password has been encrypted. All right, just real quick then, let's also configure our VTY lines. So VTY lines are the lines used for remote access to a device. So Telnet or SSH would be an example of a remote access protocol that you can use to remotely configure a Cisco device. So I want to set a password on my VTY lines. So you can see I've got 5 of them. So I do line 0 through line 4, VTY 0 space 4. Brings me back into my line configuration mode. I'll do the same thing, password Cisco, log in. All right, now I would also have a password if I remoted in through Telnet or SSH. So the next thing we're going to configure is our message of the day banner. It's another kind of common message that some people like to configure. So that anytime someone connects to your device, they will receive this message. So we do that from global config mode. And the command to set this is banner. Now, there are other banners you can set as well. Line, exec, incoming, login, message of the day, prompt, timeout. You can see by typing banner space question mark, you'll see all the available options to you. We're going to do message of the day. Now, if you don't know the syntax for these commands, you can always type the command with a question mark and it'll show you what you need to do. So you can see here you have to type banner MOTD C, the text you want, space, and another C. And we have our message of the day banner set. So now when I hit enter to log into the console port, my message of the day banner shows up. This is my router. And so those are some of the kind of basic commands you often use on a Cisco device. So we set up our enable secret password, a line password, a VTY password. We created a message of the day, and we encrypted our service level passwords. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video and hope it's helpful. One very last command that I'm going to show you that you want to do to save your config is copy run space start. And that will save the running config which you just edited and created to your startup config. So if you reboot your device, that config is still there. And on my router, I'm actually using a little bit older router, so it took a little bit to save it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. And that again is just a brief explanation of some basic commands that we use on Cisco devices.